Hello everyone, I decided to do something somewhat different today and review a movie that I just recently saw, and that movie is Colossal. I cannot pronounce the director's name, so I'm just going to put it in the text, but it stars Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, and Dan Stevens, and many others. It's a rated R sci-fi comedy, drama, romance type of movie, and it is by Neon, the film company, the indie film company, but more on that later. So this movie is about a woman named Gloria who struggles with alcoholism, and she got kicked out of her condo in New York City by her boyfriend, played by Stevens, and she decides to move back to her childhood home and pretty much the most stereotypical hometown in movies. She reunites with an old childhood friend, Oscar, played by Jason Sudeikis, who gets her a job at his bar, which is the worst thing you could ever do for an alcoholic. She pretty much hangs out with Oscar and his buddies at the bar, and they would drink from night to day, and she would wake up at a playground hangover at 8:05, specifically 8:05 a.m. But out of nowhere, a giant Godzilla-like monster appears in Seoul, South Korea. I was wondering if that was a real city. I looked it up. It is. It starts terrorizing the population, and for some reason, Gloria starts to realize that the monster is sort of copying her. So what I really liked about this movie is Gloria's reaction to her controlling this monster. Because it's not just played on for laughs, it's actually serious at times. She reacts the same way a normal human being would react. I mean, she's horrified by the idea, she feels guilty because of all the fatalities that she probably caused, and she learns how to control the monster and make sure that it doesn't really harm anyone. Everyone's reaction, and I mean everyone around the world, to this monster that just arrives in Seoul is very natural, I guess. I mean, I always wondered, like, what if a natural monster did just out of nowhere attack a city here, somewhere in the United States, or maybe even in another country or something? You know, how would we all perceive it? But over time, as Gloria starts to figure out how to really control the monster and actually make it do whatever she wants, she ends up settling herself down, and people in the end, they end up pretty much getting used to its presence, but not to a point where it's like, oh, hey, look, there's a monster. No, they're still amazed at it, and they now know how peaceful it is. As for the monster itself, it looks like a combination of Groot and the Iron Giant, like if Groot was the actual size of the Iron Giant, which is weird that I used two Diesel characters. But anyway, the CGI is actually really nice. It's kind of a mixture of CGI if Pacific Rim was actually a TV show. The movie is also really funny too. Not a lot of big laughs or anything, but it's actually enjoyable. One of my favorite scenes of this movie is when Gloria takes her friends to the park at 8:05 a.m. because that's pretty much when the monster pops up. And she pretty much shows them that she's controlling the monster and stuff. It's a really funny scene because she does all these goofy dances and, you know, hand gestures and stuff, and everyone's just watching it live, and, like, they're just, like, telling her, oh, do this, do that, do that. It's kind of funny, though, because if you were in that situation, you would kind of do that, too. You would make funny hand gestures and do weird little dances, too. Like, somebody might do the chicken dance if they control like this like Voltron-sized robot. I know I would. Also, there's this great power comes great responsibility thought for Gloria, because her friend Oscar, he ends up having his own big giant creature, and it's actually a robot, which I'm not gonna lie, the design for that, it's really cool. And pretty much when Oscar kind of slacks off and he's just playing around and stuff, like, Gloria's just telling him, like, you gotta be really careful. Okay, now that leads me to what I didn't really like. It's Gloria's alcoholism. I'll just be honest with you, I did not believe that she was an alcoholic. She looked pretty much fine, I guess. Sure, she made up excuses like a regular alcoholic would if they would deny the fact that they were drinking, but I don't know, it was just not convincing. And I should know because I've seen drunk people. I've seen many drunk people, and it's one of those expect the unexpected, but you also want to make sure that they're safe too. Like, if you pay attention to the way she looks in a movie just to make sure whether she's sober or drunk, she looks the same, really. Sober or drunk, she pretty much looks the same. She's not or woozing or anything. It literally looks like the same. And the fact that she works at a bar literally should be a setup for comedic misery. The fact that she didn't really, well, seem like an alcoholic was very disappointing, because if you all saw Anne Hathaway in Love and Other Drugs, she played Maggie, a woman who was beginning to get Parkinson's disease, and she played that really well, actually, so I was just a little bit disappointed. Another thing I didn't really like was Oscar, though. See, Jason Sudeikis did a good job of just playing just that guy you just want to hang out with. He is the nice guy who's been through tragedies, but you know, he still brightens your day. But unfortunately, his character like turns a complete 180 and starts doing things that are somewhat psychotic too. That was a huge downfall for his character. And I'm not saying that because he becomes somewhat of an antagonist for the movie, but it didn't really make sense. The motivation wasn't really clear. I kind of wish he wasn't written with, like, you know, sociopathic tendencies. It just didn't really seem necessary. The love interest in this movie was kind of bland. I mean, it's not even Gloria's boyfriend who kicks her out of her condo. I'm talking about one of Oscar's buddies or something. I don't really know. He's just some handsome guy, I guess. If he wasn't in the movie, then it wouldn't really change at all, really. He's just really a handsome guy, and usually with leads, female leads in general, the handsome guy stereotype would literally have some type of purpose or likability for, you know, the main character to sort of romantically connect with him. I want to talk about the ex-boyfriend, though, Dan Stevens' character. When I was watching the movie, obviously his character was supposed to be built up to be this not so great character. Not a villain or anything, just like a total asshole that you just feel like she shouldn't really be with. But to be honest, after I got done watching this movie, I kind of felt bad for his character. He didn't really do anything that bad, actually. Everything he did was somewhat reasonable. Okay, so in the beginning of the movie, he kicks her out of her apartment just for partying all night, putting her professional life aside, and just abusing alcohol and just lying about it. And he's hearing it over and over again. In fact, there's a scene where she's calling him and he's like, you know, I don't want to talk to you when you're drunk. I don't really like that, though. Again, it's kind of hard for me to hate his character. I don't know whether I was supposed to hate his character or not. I'm not really sure. I mean, it seems like he's already doing good for himself. He can support himself, and he has a pretty good professional career. In the end, I would recommend this movie to certain people. I mean, if you like comedy, but you also like some dark, gruesome stuff, but you have a dark sense of humor and stuff, I would say go ahead and watch it too. It's just the problems of dealing with alcoholism isn't really talked that much in this movie, though. And it could have been funny, though. I mean, it really, really should have been funny, and it would have been also serious too, but I don't really know. They didn't really do a good job at that. I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10 because the ending was somewhat climactic, but it was actually really enjoyable too. I also wanted to praise Neon, the indie film company. I mean, I saw like 2 of their movies, Ingrid Goes West and I, Tonya too, and I have to say they're doing pretty good. I'm liking that independent film companies are starting to get more of a reputation though, and I'm starting to really enjoy that people are starting to go see these indie movies like Neon movies and A24, especially A24, because like they have one of my favorite movies, Swiss Army Man, and I thought that was really good and underrated. For everyone who's watching, will you give Colossal a chance? I think it's a really good indie movie. I mean, it has its problems, but what movie doesn't? So I highly recommend it too. And also, has anyone seen Swiss Army Man? Because if you haven't, please see it. It's really good.